wearing black armbands and that the fun times are definitely over forever. But on the other hand, nothing fucking happened. Large swaths of Puerto Rico are still without power after Hurricane Maria. Nothing fucking happened about it. We're barely talking about it, and people are still dying. Cheers, however, to the fact that through all this trouble, the coverage of these issues and more is still happening. Now, I might sound like I'm contradicting myself here, and maybe I am a little bit, but I actually find it incredibly heartening to see journalism flourishing in the face of these awful dark times. Now, I've been a cable cutter for a while now, and so being out of the loop of the 24-hour news channels is probably the best thing that's ever happened to my health. But the ways that I've been able to replace that in my media diet through a great mixture of podcasts and written journalism, which has been having this real renaissance, is enough to give me a great deal of hope. So the year might have begun with Kellyanne Conway talking about alternative facts, but it ended with the Washington Post uncovering an attempted coup on the truth with its coverage of Roy Moore in Alabama. So the truth might be under assault from the Fox News, the Breitbarts, the rebels of the world. But I think it's clear that the truth is ultimately the better product, and it wins out in the end. So I'll just sort of end here by saying that, yeah, 2017 was a challenging year, and it was filled with a lot of darkness, but I think there's a lot to be hopeful for. And you know what, on a selfish note, I had a really great year personally. I went back to school, I started dating my girlfriend, I am looking to improve my work situation, and ultimately, like on a personal level, I had a really, really great 2017. So between that and the fact that, like, yeah, there are bad things happening in the world, but you know, there's an actual resistance to it. It gives me hope. So I can't help but feel optimistic about the future. So that was Cheers and Jeers for 2017. I'm going to end that here. I'm going to cut the music. And I'm going to just throw this out there to the podcast audience, okay? To you guys, the listener, before we get into the report from Mexico. I'd like you to sort of take a moment, okay? And I want you to think about the year that you had. And yeah, you just heard me go over some of the big news stories of the year and talk about the good and the bad and the ugly. But take a moment and think about your life on a personal level. Now, I'm sure that you had some real struggles. Everyone does. And it may be easy to think to yourself at this point in time in the year that 2017 was awful, it was terrible, and you know, you just couldn't wait for it to be over. I hope that you take a moment, though, to take stock of the things that happened, the things that went on in your life that were good. Now, I'm not saying that that you're going to be able to come up with a list that you necessarily feel outweighs all of the bad, and that's fair. But just do take a moment to appreciate maybe things that you've accomplished, maybe moments that you had in your life that you enjoyed, maybe, you know, personal achievements, professional achievements. Maybe it was just, you know, having a night in with your friends, laughing. Maybe you went out to karaoke and you had a good time. You know, even it could be as simple as having some drinks on a patio with some good pals. I'd imagine you'll be able to come up with something. So just taking that moment to take stock of the good things as well as the bad can be really useful. You know, we're predisposed to only remember the bad things, and it's, you know, evolutionarily speaking, a good thing that we did that because, you know, we were able to judge risk a lot better. But just take a second to think about the good things, maybe a moment that just gave you pure elation. And hopefully you can look back on 2017 a little bit kinder as a result. Okay, so that was a weird, sappy moment that I just provided on the show. Hope you enjoyed that. Next is a little bit of nonsense from my sister and my brother-in-law. The report from Mexico on how how the preparations for the wall are going. I'm going to post some pictures up on the Facebook page. You'll need to take a look at these because they're just fantastic. So something I didn't cover in the Cheers and Jeers section, because I was making that a little bit more about, broader speaking world terms. I just want to say that I am so excited right now as a Liverpool Football Club fan. It looks like we're about to sign officially Virgil van Dijk, who is a sort of on the cusp of being a world-class defender, which is something that we need on Liverpool's. So feeling pretty good about the football season to come. This year, I mean, if you follow the Premier League, you kind of know this year is pretty much Manchester City's. They haven't won it yet, of course. There's still more games to play, but they're probably going to win the title. They're really running away with it this year, and you kind of have to give them props because they're playing the kind of football that you kind of want to see a championship side play. And they just don't seem to be able to be stopped right now. But you know what? I'm looking. It's sort of the cry of Liverpool fans. Maybe next year will be our year. But it feels like they're actually doing something. So that's the little football corner there. Right now, we're gonna hear from my brother-in-law Dana, who is down in Mexico with my sister. He's reporting in on the situation in Mexico. So John DeLong, he writes, from the John DeLong Show, I'm reporting from Mexico, investigating behind the scenes Mexico's plan for building the Trump wall to keep America free of illegal landscapers, illegal gardeners, and illegal workforce that's maintaining America with its illegal manpower. Update. Mexico has started a Trump-themed campaign, utilizing its art talent and local art culture to produce revenue and mass ticket sales. Trump will be using all the money and resources raised to fund the completion of the Trump wall. See attached photos. This is one example of Mexico's commitment to this great opportunity to make America free of cheap labor to help stimulate the U.S. economy. So Dana has sent in. These will all be available on the Facebook page, facebook.com/The John DeLong Show. Pictures of a number of different posters featuring Donald Trump going up against Blue Demon and El Santo, who are Lucha Libre legends. The best way that I was able to describe this to my girlfriend when I was showing her these pictures is that these guys are like the level of sort of wrestling relevance that Hulk Hogan was in the 80s, along with sort of the general speaking celebrity and just sort of the broader culture as The Rock is today. And these are just absolutely fantastic. It shows Trump with fangs. It shows Santo and Blue Demon fighting against Trump together, joining forces as they never would. There's some pretty wonderful, they're just really, really great posters and pictures that are just pictures that are up and around in Mexico, just showing that Mexico knows what's going on. Their art community is doing some good work. So I'm going to post those up to the Facebook page, and we'll make sure to share those there. And of course, you can get all of that stuff. You can follow the show, facebook.com/The John DeLong Show. And if you want to send in an email to the show, get your stuff read on the air, that's johndelongshow@gmail.com. And I'll make sure that we that. Of course, I read everything, and we'll make sure that we get it up on the air as well. So yeah, I think that's going to do it. We're doing a little bit better than 10 minutes extra content here today to kick off 2018. Like I said, next week we're going to be looking at hearing from Mr. Mike Tanner in an interview that I did with him just before the holidays sort of kicked off. So we're going to be looking at releasing that next week. Then following that, we're going to make sure that we get the interview with the rest of the interview with Luke up. So that's some more wrestling content there. and we're just sort of back to business as usual on the show. I don't really do New Year's resolutions, guys. It's not something that I've done for many years, but I'm willing to put a couple of them out here on the air right now as we're closing out this first episode of the year. Something I want to do is I want to continue to get back on the exercise train. I sort of fell off when I went back to school. I've been back at it a little bit, but I want to continue doing that and get back into that habit. Also, we're going to look at maybe if we keep on bringing in listeners, we're going to be doing maybe 2 shows a week. That's right. We might, in addition to the Monday morning nonsense, we might be looking at weekly a second dose of nonsense on the regular. Not committing to that necessarily, but if it's something that you guys are interested in, if it's something that you want to see, certainly let me know. And of course, make sure that you're sharing the show with your friends. So that's going to do it. So the show is produced by me with music from Mon Plaisir. You can check them out at loyaltyfreakmusic.com. You can follow the show, facebook.com/The John DuLong Show. Email in at johndulong@gmail.com, and follow me on social media at Gibberdy, Jiberdy. Make sure you subscribe to the show on iTunes or Google Play, and if you could, rate and review, as it helps get more folks listening. Another great way is you can just tell a friend about the show, get the word out, and of course you can tune in every single Monday for the weekly dose of Monday morning nonsense. And hey, maybe it'll be Monday and Thursdays going forward, or Monday and Fridays. I don't know. We'll see. So that's going to do it for John DuLong. I'm John DuLong. And remember, artificial intelligence is better than none. Thanks. Felt good to get behind the microphone in sort of the proper way, guys. Like I said, I did the bank episodes for a little while there, and it's good to get behind the mic. For realsies. I don't know. We'll see. Something I want to look at also this year is making sure that, as we grow this podcast, we look at it still being something sustainable. We're gonna have a website soon. I'm looking into that. I've been in touch with somebody about that. So we're gonna have a website soon, and then. Maybe down the line we'll be looking at a little bit crowdfunding. Looks like Patreon is not as evil as we thought they were, and they were able to realize that, maybe fucking over the patrons is not something that the users of the Patreon system want. So something that I'm considering. If you're interested, let me know. If you'd be willing to chuck a few bucks my way, that'd be super. Anywho. That's about it. Went almost double the length today, so I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll see you next week. Bye!